What's up, guys? I'm doing a little bit of practice here on the back deck. Not too bad. I'm shooting at about 15 yards. I don't drop very many of them. In the 5, that's 2 5s for shooting a little bit tired. Not gonna lie, I shot a little bit already today. Kind of what I want to talk to you guys about on this episode. Just some changes a little bit in the bow build setup and some stuff that I got going on. And also I wanted to tell you guys about a few budget bulletproofing ideas for your bow. And what I mean by bulletproofing is basically just little things that you can do that are going to remove some variations from your bow, from your setup, so you're taking some of yourself out of the equation, especially for hunting. And like I said, they don't cost hardly anything, so stay tuned and we'll talk about that. Okay, so kind of what I got going on here that I wanted to talk to you guys out is budget ways that you can really bulletproof your setup and take it to the next level. So I'll go ahead and show you what I've got going on here. We talked about shelf material in the bow builds in those episodes, why I use it. Most people pretty well agree that, you know, a piece of Velcro loop material is a very cheap, very utilitarian way of silencing things on your bow. I use it as shelf material, even if I'm shooting off the rest, or shooting directly off the riser, I use it as shelf material. I also use Velcro in my string grooves. I hadn't had anything silencing the string grooves on this bow yet. I did on my last setup, but I really noticed some definite improvements by adding the Velcro on the string grooves on my last setup. It definitely quieted things down a little bit, and I wanted to do it on this one, and I am definitely pleased. And all this is like, I don't know if that's even like maybe 3/4 wide Velcro adhesive back that you can buy in rolls at, I think this even came from Walmart for little to no cost. I put it on both ends, as you can see, and it really makes a difference. Whenever I install this, one thing I will note, whenever you install this, make sure you take something to really rub that Velcro down inside the string grooves, or else whenever you go to string your bow and shoot it, as that string shoves it down in that groove, it'll pull it away from the limb over here, and you'll have a bunch of loose edges. So whenever you install it, just go ahead and push that, rub that Velcro down inside the string grooves really well, and then, you know, with some friction pressure, push the Velcro down on the limb really well on the edges everywhere, just to keep any water and moisture and things from getting underneath here and lifting it or anything. Let's see, what else? Little things you can do. Focus. On my tie-on nocks, if you see that right there, that's super glue. I super glue, once I'm 100% sure of placement, I super glue over top of these knock points, kind of super gluing them down to the serving, super gluing them in place so they don't move. That will free your mind completely of worrying about those, just with a little bit of super glue. I also super glue on, you can see it shining right there at each end. See that right there, of the center serving, to help alleviate the possibility of separation from here or from here. Even on a well-made string, it can happen. I'm not saying it always happens, but it can happen. And just a little super glue, you know, maybe about a 1/2 inch wide bead, you know, or 1/2 inch down and up on each end of the serving, and then across your tie-on nocks. That will kind of give you some peace of mind on any of your servings or knock points coming free. Silencers, we already talked about that. I'm super pleased with just these single silencers on the string as compared to the two yarn puff balls I had before. I had one up here close to where the string meets the bow, and then one down here further. These cost little to nothing, and since it's a synthetic material, being the paracord shell, it's going to get wet, but it's not going to hold so much water in the situation of rain, and that's why I'm wanting to talk to you about as far as, you know, budget ways of bulletproofing your setup, because it's, like I said, you can buy 50 feet of it for a few dollars, and, you know, you're only cutting, you know, 1.5 to 2 inch long pieces at a time to make these happen. This is 4 on top, 4 on the bottom, pieces that are about 2 inches long, and it performs well, and it's going to let you hunt in the rain, because if you're not able to hunt whitetails in the rain, then you could, well, you're missing out on a lot of good hunting, because what is it, Fred Bear said one of his rules was you know, rain's not a reason to stay out of the woods, it's a reason to stay in the woods, because as soon as it stops, the woods are going to come alive for sure. You know, we already talked about using D-loop material instead of the string that the clicker comes with, because this doesn't stretch, it doesn't give, and it's going to give you a little bit more peace of mind about your cord for your clicker if you use one. Let's see what else on here. Make sure you got those, we talked about in the install again, but make sure, you know, if you don't run a tip protector on the bottom of your bow, and you're a ground hunter, or, you know, like to set your bow on the ground and lean it against stuff, you're going to want one of these to keep from chewing up the tip of your bow, because there's not a lot you can really do if you start chewing that up other than sanding on your bow, and you don't want to do that. So trying to think if I'm missing anything. That's pretty well all that I'm got going on as far as ways that you can cheaply bulletproof your bow. I'll go ahead and mention a couple things I'm thinking about doing with this setup. Well, before I move on, I guess, you know, the trad vanes I am super pleased with so far. They perform awesome in the 4-fletch 90 configuration, and again, being able to hunt in the rain falls under bulletproofing your setup. So you don't have to worry about these getting wet and holding water and slowing your shot down or messing it up. So that's just another way that I've chosen to bulletproof this setup. The center shot on my bow, something I wanted to mention to you guys real quick. If you go back to my build series, you'll see I put D-loop material underneath here. Well, I noticed I was getting a lot of left impacts. I've had suspicions it could be my form, but I tended to think, you know, I'm doing things exactly the way I've always done them. I tended to think it could have been my center shot. I knew it wasn't my arrow tune. My arrow's tuned perfect. So what I did was I peeled back this Velcro, removed the D-loop material, and tried shooting it with just Velcro against sight window. And I got right impacts. So what I did was I took cereal box and cut it into a little 1/8 inch wide strip, about however long, you know, and then folded it in half to double it up and replaced the D-loop material. You can see it bumped out right there. I replaced the D-loop material with that piece of cereal box. And what that did was that kind of gave me a happy medium between the thick D-loop and nothing there at all for a, you know, contact point. And it really brought my group back into the center again. Which brings me to my next topic. I've always kind of shot with a little bit of a cant in my bow, traditionally, but upon going through this build and the tuning process on it, I tune vertical bow anyway, but once I've tuned my bow, I go back to shooting with a little bit of a cant, not a real aggressive cant, just a few degrees, a slight, mostly just kind of dipping my head forward sort of a thing, and my limb tips just a little over. But I'm thinking in order to, again, bulletproof this setup, bulletproof me, bulletproof my form, I shoot far more consistently with a vertical bow than I do with a cant, because sometimes I cant more than others, and also with the wider string angle, because the bow's a little longer, the way it contacts my face, for whatever reason, getting good alignment, I find myself wanting to twist my string, trying to pull it into my face, and I don't know if it's because I'm trying to keep my bow canted a little bit, but I'm not canting my head enough. I don't know really what's going on there. It could be a form issue, but I just kind of said screw it and realized that if I just shoot vertical bow, or even just a slight cant, because I don't see a lot of difference between the two as far as my shooting. I'm just really trying to bulletproof some stuff on this bow and with me, because I hunt, and this is meant almost solely for hunting. And I want to remove as much variation as possible. You know, even for you guys that shoot leagues and competitions, you guys will probably tend to have some of the same mindset. You know, whatever you can do to bulletproof your setup in order to remove some variations, to where if you do throw a flyer here or a flyer there, you know, maybe it's not going to be severe, rather than me throwing a flyer, you know, into the 3 or the 2 at 20 yards, you know, maybe that flyer is going to be into the 4. Anyway, that's kind of what I want to talk to you guys about, just some things that I'm changing on me, my bow, and bulletproofing this setup, and some ways that maybe you can consider bulletproofing your setup. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave comments down below if you have other videos you want to see or have any questions. I'm always more than happy to help. I've got some more video ideas coming down the pipeline. I still want to go out and do a complete range walkthrough on a 3D range with this bow, 14 station range that we have not far from here, and kind of put it through its paces out there a little bit, and, you know, shoot some varying terrain and varying distances, and just kind of see how it does, you know, in the more real life situations like that, like a 3D scenario. So anyway, like I said, thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to tune back in and shoot straight.